Your money should serve you and your goals, not the other way around. At Eastern Planning Incorporated, we want to ensure your dreams are within reach, and this starts with a smart financial plan. Welcome to It's Not Just Money, It's Life with Matt and Beth Blecker. In our ongoing podcasts, we will give you clear and trusted guidance, teaching you how to use your finances to make your retirement years the fulfillment of your dreams, with a well-balanced life free of worry and stress. We are so excited that you have joined us. So, let's get started.
Matthew Blecker is here to tell us his story of becoming a financial planner and joining his mother, Beth, in the business. Now, in the first episode of this podcast, Beth was front and center, but this time, it's all Matthew. I'm Patrice Sikora. Matthew, tell us, how did you get started?
So I'd always been interested in investing and taxes because I grew up in a small business where my parents were, my father was a CPA, my mother helped him run his operation. And then he got into financial planning. He wasn't as into investment as we are, but he set up financial plans for clients. He gave them recommendations on savings and taxes and estate planning and helped them network with other professionals to get everything done. So I got involved in that because of the business. And then when at a younger age, I started reading Warren Buffett books, getting involved in value investing. And I always thought I would come into the business or work with them potentially when I got out of college. And my parents split up when I was graduating college. And my mom and I discussed it and decided that it'd be in our best interest because most of them were my father's clients. And there was still a base of the company up north. And my mom still knew what to do in terms of marketing and running the operation. So we decided that we'd give it a shot as opposed to going to work for someone else. And that if it worked out, great. If it didn't, we could always go our separate ways. And we had credentials. She had a degree in education and she had been a bookkeeper and run a business for a long time. And I had a college degree and some credentials. And but we felt we'd give it a shot at first. And it was a challenging environment because it was just a few months before 9/11. Then we had 9/11 and the end of the tech bubble and a whole bunch of things that happened after that, like the financial crisis. So there's been certainly ups and downs, but we were able to make it work. We were able to invest in the business through kind of the infrastructure and that we had. And my mom's knowledge on how to run a business and make the marketing end work. We had to take out some loans as well. And then I ended up beefing up my investment and financial planning credentials. I got my CFP in 2004. I finished my CFA charter in 2006. I did my MBA at Columbia in 2007, from 2007 to 9. So as we built the business, I built up credentials and we were able to build enough of a client base in a few years that we could really get the bulk of our growth from, we're not looking to grow super fast because we want to be able to handle our clients, but you have to, because clients pass away, unfortunately, may not retain everybody. We do retain the vast majority of our clients, but we were able to grow after a certain amount of time, just really from referrals, word of mouth, our website and centers of influence like CPAs and attorneys. And that's how we do a little bit of marketing now, but we got to this was 2001. So after about 5 years where we were able to really use our client base and our network and our centers of influence and our website to be growing without enduring a heavy marketing expense.
Now you talked about clients here, Matt. Who is your specialty, or do you have a special client, an ideal client you like to work with?
So I see there really be two. One is either a single person or a couple that's nearing or in retirement. And I would say Beth has a specialty with single women because of her experience and what she has been through. But in general, we're looking for clients. I would say it's primarily upper middle class. We're not dealing with super wealthy clients. We feel a niche role with the upper middle class. We're able to provide them full service financial planning and the same attention that the wealthy may get at a family office, but do it in more of a family boutique atmosphere, mom and pop type of business. And the other client that we're specializing in are working professionals and corporate executives who are helping save for retirement and get to the point where they can be financially independent. And typically our retirees, the average age of the retirees is probably around 65 to 70. It's someone who's just starting in retirement or going to retire soon. And the average age of the corporate executives is probably between 45 and 55. So if you take our average age client, the median age is probably about 60, but it's a combination of those two sets of.
Now, you mentioned full service financial planning. What does that mean?
So it's a good question. A lot of people in the business in the past were really just brokers. They make investment recommendations. If you do that today, that's, in my opinion, not a sustainable way to maintain your practice and relationships for the long term, because you're really just selling products and you're living and dying on investment performance. And we always tell our clients there are always ups and downs in the market. We just want to help you reach your long-term goals and not make any irrational decisions. And part of investing, and we do work with clients' investment portfolio. So we put together the proper portfolio for them with the right diversification. And part of it is behavior management, where you're not chasing performance when the market's up and you're not panic selling when the market's down. We set up portfolios in such a way that they're able to not be forced to liquidate the equity, the more aggressive piece when the market's down. And they also don't take on too much risk at any point. They also stay properly diversified. And then we work with them on other parts of their financial plan, like tax planning, minimizing taxes now and in the future, coordinating with their CPA so they have all their documents to file their taxes. We do an insurance review to make sure they're properly protected. And when they're younger, it could be life insurance. And we typically prefer cheaper term insurance because permanent insurance tends to be too expensive. And then when they're older, it's something like they might not need life insurance anymore. Maybe a specialized case where you want to leave a lot of money to your heirs, you might need permanent life insurance, but it's rare. Or if you have an estate tax issue, but that's less so today because the exemptions are so big. But long-term care is a big issue. Obviously, people see their parents aging and needing a lot of care when they're elderly, and that's something that can protect them, protect their assets. And also all around just property and casualty insurance. A lot of people don't have enough umbrella insurance if, God forbid, they're sued. They want to make sure they're properly protected. So we help them work with either directly or with their insurance agents to make sure they have the right insurance. And sometimes that's cutting as well. They may have unnecessary insurance they don't need. And then, of course, estate planning, beneficiary designations. We make sure that the proper people are designated, make sure they understand how they're going to inherit money. IRAs and retirement accounts tend to be different from non-retirement accounts. Sometimes the client will need a revocable trust. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes we can help them do their documents on LegalZoom. Sometimes it's complicated and they have to go to an estate attorney or an elder care. So we really help them put together a whole plan and then help them monitor that plan. And when a client comes aboard, we typically give at least 2 complimentary consultations, and the client signs on at the 3rd meeting. We'll then take another few meetings to complete their initial financial plan. And then they become a monitoring client, and we see them a few times a year to make sure things are on track or help them with any changing circumstances.
All right. So you're doing a lot here. You must have a team with you to help you. Tell me about them.
We have a team and everyone has their own role. So Beth and I help create the plan. We each deal with different aspects of the plan. So I'll typically set up a client's and monitor a client's investment allocation, their beneficiary designations. I'll help them with their tax planning and coordinating with their CPA and helping them minimize taxes as much as possible. And Beth deals with estate planning, elder care, and insurance aspect of the plan. So when we do the initial plan, we each do about half the meetings. And then once they go into monitoring, typically Beth will see them at least once a year for non-investment related issues, and I'll see them at least a couple times a year for investment related issues. And then Donna's our service manager. So Donna does a great job of making sure our business is processed, making sure clients who need distributions or tax forms have them, and really running our whole service operation, to make sure everything's processed efficiently, whether it's new business and the forms are processed. And now with technology, we can do a lot of things online, or whether it's maintenance with an existing client, if they need a distribution or a tax form or something like that. Christina's our client coordinator, and she schedules appointments and checks in with clients. We have in our CRM system, we have notes to schedule appointments at certain dates to make sure clients have their checkups every few months, and also just to check in with them, see how they're doing. Nicole's our marketing coordinator, and she helps set up client events and sends clients notifications. So that could be an annual client event we may have. We typically do a once-a-year annual client event. It could be educational events where we're doing a Zoom on estate planning, or potentially in the office, or it could be our monthly newsletter. And then Laura's our administrative assistant, and she helps with the filing and the paperwork. So we have a team. We have a role for everybody, and we think we run a pretty efficient operation.
You mentioned events. Are you getting back into the events now?
So we always had events. It was even during the height of COVID, it was just on Zoom. No. So We did things like coordinate with an estate attorney or CPA to do a Zoom on taxes or on estate planning.
Mm-hmm.
We do probably on a monthly basis, we do what we call fireside chats where we go over various topics or just what's going on in the news. We try to, stay away from making decisions on the news, but sometimes clients like to know what's going on. Typically their long-term plan has nothing to do with what's going on in the news today. And then it's open forum where clients they submit questions prior to that. And then we answer as many questions as they have. And that's typically an hour fireside chat once a month. So we've been doing events this whole time and we'll likely be getting back to more in-person events, obviously, as things are getting back to normal.
Right. Talk to me about your philosophy, Matt, business, investment, whichever, but how do you approach your job?
So our philosophy is to look at a client's whole picture before we make any recommendations, because we want to see what they're invested in, and changes sometimes have consequences. There could be tax consequences, there could be penalties. You may have to think of it in terms of estate planning, or if a client's held a stock a long time, it might not make sense to sell it because their heirs will get a step up in basis. So we look at a client's whole picture, and then we try to refine that to meet their long-term goals. And that could mean making some changes. It could mean some consolidation. But we look to gather the data first and then implement a long-term plan that's best for them. We're typically very long-term oriented. Mm-hmm. We don't change our investment philosophy based on what's going on in the short term. On the investing end, we take a long-term, more Warren Buffett fundamental value-oriented approach, where if we're investing on something, it's because of long-term fundamentals. The short-term price movements are irrelevant. And our clients always have a safe bucket of money for any funds they need in the next few years, whether they're distributing in retirement or that they're working and they have maybe some home renovations or they need an emergency fund in case something happens to their job. So it's really looking at a client's whole picture and not making any recommendations until we understand that. And then when we make a recommendation, it's keeping all their goals in mind and seeing how we can improve upon what they have. And that could be lowering fees. It could be getting more tax efficient, and it could be just simplifying, consolidating things so it's easier to monitor.
All right, let's put the office to the side. Let's talk about Matthew, who is not working. What do you do for fun?
It's a good question. You always have to get away from work a little bit, right? So I like to spend a lot of time with my family, my wife, my daughter, and our dog. So it could be just relaxing at home, kicking back, watching TV. I like to read a lot. We like to travel a few times a year to different locations, typically throughout the U.S. And I'm into sports, so I'm a big Mets fan, unfortunately. Yes. 15 or so games a year. We have a small ticket package. So it's really spending a lot of time with family and friends. Could choose to be relaxing, watching a movie or a sporting event. It's into traveling and history as well. And I do a lot of reading into finance and non-finance related.
All right.
So I tend to, because obviously we're in more of a desk job. So I like to work out an hour or so a day to make sure we're in shape, especially as I'm getting older.
I think we all need that as we get older too. Yeah. Is there one thing that you recommend most to clients, family, or friends?
It's really, in terms of you're using us, assuming they're using us as their advisor, it's the main thing is how can we help you we make sure there's less financial stress in your life so you can enjoy your life and your time with your family. That's the most important thing. And that's, I think, the biggest value we add, that we help clients with their entire financial lives so they don't have to worry about it as much. And it takes stress off of them so they can enjoy their time doing other things, traveling, spending time with family. And then obviously there are clients that there are people who like to monitor their investments or their financial plan on their own. And that's not our type of client. Our type of client is the delegator, the ones who, want someone else to handle it for them so that they can do other things and enjoy their lives.
Well, let me ask you here, do you ever say no to a potential client?
Yeah, sometimes it's not a right fit. And sometimes it happens just after someone might become a client. So clients who are really into monitoring it themselves, or clients who are performance chasing and want to go after the hottest investment, that wouldn't be our type of client. Our client would be somebody who is focused on the long term, is a delegator, and is really in tune with our philosophy. Okay.
Do you like what you do?
Yes, I think we add value. I'm glad I'm into, I was always into investing, long-term value investing. I'm glad that's a part of the business. I enjoy, helping clients reach their financial goals and putting together and monitoring a plan and being up to date on all the new laws and being able to communicate that to clients.
All right. And then what is your proudest achievement? You may very well say your family, and that's fair, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What is your proudest achievement?
I mean, it's definitely my family, because that's something that you should value most in life. I think other than that, it's the fact that how Beth and I were able to build a business, not almost from scratch, not totally from scratch, almost from scratch throughout a very challenging environment. We missed the great 1990s. Through these last 20 years, we started a business right before 9/11. So we had 9/11 and the end of the tech bubble, which 2002 was the worst year of it. The first two for diversified portfolios weren't anywhere near as bad, or weren't actually bad at all. But then we had two wars and the financial crisis in 2008, which was a big setback for everyone. The European debt crisis, COVID, and what's going on now. So there's always a lot of things going on, but I think particularly this 20 plus years has been challenging to build a financial planning business. And I'm glad we've been able to do so and help a lot of people during that time.
That's outstanding. All right. How can listeners reach you, Matthew?
So they can reach me at my email, which is mblecker, first initial, last name. So M as in Matt, B as in boy, Lecker, mblecker@easternplanning.com. Or they can reach me at our main office line, which is also patched into our satellite office, which is 845-627-8300, 845-627-8300. Or they can, if they want to know about our company, they go to our website, www.easternplanning.com, www.easternplanning.com.
And to make sure you know when every episode of It's Not Just Money, It's Life is ready for you, be sure to follow this podcast and, of course, share it with friends and family. I'm Patrice Sikora, and let's talk again later.
Thank you for listening to the It's Not Just Money, It's Life podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Eastern Planning Incorporated. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. Securities and advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates, Incorporated, RAA, member FINRA, SIPC. RAA is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of RAA.